A ceasefire and security guarantees for Ukraine must become a fundamental part of any potential peace agreement currently under discussion among Ukraine's allies. Ukraine needs to be strengthened in its defense capabilities and supported in its resistance to any form of aggression. NATO has announced that the alliance is on track to fulfill its 2025 defense funding plan for Ukraine, amounting to 40 billion euros. After talks with US President Donald Trump, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte confirmed that alliance members will continue to support Ukraine.
On Ukraine, allies are preparing billions more in aid plus contributions to security guarantees. Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, on social network X.
Deploying peacekeepers to Ukraine is considered a key element in ensuring future security guarantees. In recent weeks, European countries have intensified discussions about sending Western contingents to Ukraine to oversee a possible future ceasefire. According to Bloomberg sources, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has discussed the potential deployment of Turkish troops to Ukraine with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Turkey has NATO's second-largest army after the United States. Turkey's willingness to help oversee a potential ceasefire is seen as an important step in easing the burden on European allies, who are currently developing plans for a European peacekeeping mission in Ukraine.
Russia didn't give a response to Turkey on the matter of sending forces to Ukraine, although the topic was discussed with Lavrov during his recent visit. A person close to Russian government said, "Turkey backs Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity," according to a Ukrainian official familiar with the talks, adding that Ankara supports peace and security guarantees that are reliable. From the Bloomberg publication,
European participation in the negotiation process is crucial. Overseas, reaching an agreement will be difficult, believes EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kaja Kallas. In her view, Europe must play a central role in any deal involving Ukraine.
Why are we in NATO? It is because we are afraid of Russia. And the only thing that really works, the only security guarantee that works, is NATO's umbrella, Kaja Kallas, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy.
Analysts agree that NATO membership remains the strongest security guarantee for Ukraine.
Putin would have to think twice about restarting a war if he thinks the major Western powers are obligated to defend Ukraine. Of course, bringing Ukraine into NATO would put American and European skin and credibility in the game. That explains Trump's hesitation, even resistance to such a concept. Peter Roff, senior fellow and director of the Center on Europe and Eurasia at the Hudson Institute think tank, in an interview with Fox News.
The EU country willing to take the lead in providing security guarantees to Ukraine is likely to assume a dominant role in the region. Support for Ukraine within the EU remains stable, experts note.
Support for Ukraine hasn't changed. What has evolved is the understanding of how that support should be structured and its time frames. When we talk about specific countries like Hungary or Slovakia, their positions and visions for Ukraine's role might differ. But if we look at public opinion, it remains largely pro-Ukrainian, even in those countries.
French President Emmanuel Macron, after meeting with US President Donald Trump, called for building a lasting peace in Ukraine. Europe is prepared to offer Ukraine security guarantees, including the deployment of peacekeepers. As part of this initiative, France and the United Kingdom have developed a joint plan aimed at providing security guarantees for Ukraine. Reported by Sergei Kulyas, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.
France, the UK, Germany and other European nations are prepared to send troops to ensure a potential ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. This was stated by French Finance Minister Eric Lombard, who also noted that European forces would require US support.
There is a general agreement that in order to guarantee the ceasefire, it will be necessary to have European troops in Ukraine, and UK, Germany and France are already willing to do that, but other member states of the European Union will contribute as well. those troops will arrive after the ceasefire in order to guarantee that ceasefire is respected. But if we want this ceasefire to be respected, we need a US backup. And I believe that Americans are agree to do that.
Lombard made this statement following French President Emmanuel Macron's visit to the United States, where he held talks with his American counterpart Donald Trump. Among the topics discussed was the potential deployment of European peacekeeping forces to Ukraine. According to Macron, dozens of EU and NATO countries are willing to contribute troops.
We want peace. This peace must not mean a surrender of Ukraine. It must not mean a ceasefire without guarantees. This peace must allow for Ukrainian sovereignty and allow Ukraine to negotiate with other stakeholders regarding the issues that affects it rather. And this is a peace in which we must commit to maintaining long-term security and stability for Ukraine and the entire region. Emmanuel Macron, President of France.
Paris has assured that the US President does not oppose the potential deployment of European forces to Ukraine. Donald Trump himself emphasized that any Western peacekeeping mission should be acceptable to all.
Something will be done that's going to be satisfactory to everybody. It's actually something I did discuss, a form of peacekeeping that's acceptable to everybody. Ultimately, we'll be able to agree on something, I'm sure. Donald Trump, President of the United States.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has also acknowledged growing support for the idea. He confirmed that 8 countries have already expressed willingness to send troops.
I am pleased that a group of 8 countries has joined this initiative with a positive outlook. These are the Nordic and Baltic nations. We had a meeting in Kyiv, and I believe this is very important. It depends on the role that the United States will play in all of this, which will determine the number of countries involved, the size of the personnel, and who will be able to contribute or provide guarantees, as this is part of the security guarantees framework.
However, there are ongoing discussions about the necessary size of the peacekeeping force. According to the Ukrainian Parliament's Defense Committee, the 30,000 foreign troops proposed by Emmanuel Macron would not be sufficient. People's Deputy and Secretary of the Parliamentary Committee on National Security, Defense and Intelligence, Roman Kostenko, emphasized that beyond troops' numbers, their potential deployment location, whether inside Ukraine or along the boundary lines, will play a key role in ensuring security. Reported by Katerina Bastun, Valeria Nikipelova, UATV News.